Did you know that SB19 didn't just pop out of nowhere? Yes, you heard that right. In fact, there was a time when their future wasn't even certain. There was a moment, a point when everything they had built was hanging by a thread. Their name, their freedom, their identity, all on the line. But then came a song, Gento. This singular track was so powerful it didn't just climb charts. It pulled SB19 back from the edge. How did they pull this off, and how did it help save their career? Well, stick with us to the end of this video as we dive into the untold story of how But then came a song, Gento. This singular track was so powerful it didn't just climb charts. It pulled SB19 back from the edge. And it became more than a breakout hit. It became SB19's lifeline from 2023 all the way to 2025. You see, from the beginning of their career, SB19 had already proven themselves as a P-pop powerhouse. They had the fan base, the hits, and the momentum. But by early 2023, something was shifting. Behind the scenes, the group was going through one of the biggest transitions of their career. Around the start of the pagtatag era, they made a bold move by leaving their old management. And this wasn't some simple business decision. This was a fight for who they were as artists. They wanted creative freedom. They wanted control over their name, their music, their direction. They wanted independence. And that comes with a price. Because let's be honest, walking away from management in an industry as competitive as entertainment is risky. You can lose resources. You can lose momentum. You can even lose relevance. One wrong move, and years of hard work can slip through your fingers. That's why their EP Pagtatag, which translates to foundation or establishment, hit so differently. It arrived at a moment when the group was basically rebuilding themselves from scratch. It wasn't just another release. It was SB19 laying down a new foundation for who they wanted to be moving forward. After the internal struggles and all the uncertainty, Pagtatag was their way of saying, "This is who we are now. This is our identity, and we're building this with our own hands." But here's the real deal. If Pagtatag didn't land, it wouldn't have just been a disappointing comeback. It could have drained their momentum, shaken their confidence, and maybe even blurred the identity they were fighting so hard to protect. The stakes weren't just high, they were deeply personal. And then came Gento, not just as another single, but as a turning point. A moment that felt like SB19 planting a flag and saying, "We're still here, we're evolving, and we're turning all this pressure into something valuable." Gento was released on May 19, 2023, and almost immediately it became the face of their pagtatag era. Even the title had layers of meaning. It plays on Gento, which means like this, and Ginto, which means gold, with a Cavateño twist that gives it personality. The song itself is a blend of pop and hip-hop, but what makes it powerful is the story underneath. Gento uses gold mining as a metaphor, putting in the work, digging through struggle, and slowly discovering your true value. And here's what made the song even more special. Pablo, SB19's leader, didn't just perform it. He co-wrote and co-produced it together with Joshua Daniel Nace and Simon Servita. Gento was something the group genuinely built, piece by piece, and the results showed. Right after its release, Gento hit number 8 on the Billboard World Digital Song Sales Chart, SB19's first ever top 10 entry there. On the Philippine Songs Chart, it also climbed high, reaching around number 11. But the real explosion happened on TikTok. Gento Dance Challenge went viral, with millions of videos created by fans, influencers, and even people who had never heard of SB19 before. The song spread far beyond the fandom. It became a movement. Now, the gold mining metaphor in Gento wasn't just clever songwriting. It was SB19 telling their own story. It captured their years of grinding, rebuilding, and constantly proving that they deserved their place in the industry. And that's why Gento became more than just a viral hit. It turned into an anthem of rebirth, the perfect soundtrack for SB19's new chapter as independent artists, finally shaping their future on their own terms. But there's even more to it. In October 2023, Gento was officially approved as an entry for the 66th Grammy Awards under Best Pop Duo Group Performance. Sony Music Philippines pushed the For Your Consideration campaign, and fans showed massive support. This Grammy consideration added yet another layer. Even though they didn't end up with a nomination, the mere fact that Gento was submitted and recognized for Grammy voting lit a fire in the Atin community. Fans rallied behind them, campaigned, posted, and pushed because it felt like a shared dream, a milestone everyone wanted to reach together, especially for a group managing themselves under an independent label. It was a moment of global validation foundation that proved SB19's impact was real and undeniable. Then came another huge milestone. In July 2024, SB19 performed Gento on The First Take, the iconic Japanese YouTube channel famous for its one-take, no-redo performances. If you know The First Take, you know how rare it is for artists outside Japan to be invited. And SB19 didn't just get invited, they made history. They became the first Filipino group and the first Southeast Asian group ever featured on the platform. That alone was a massive moment for P-pop and for Filipino artists everywhere. And the performance? It was raw, it was honest, it was emotional, with no fancy effects, no second chances, and no distractions. The spotlight was fully on their vocals, their harmonies, and their chemistry as a group. The First Take setting stripped everything down, letting people around the world hear their talent in its purest form. Meanwhile, Gento's official music video had already been making waves, gathering tens of millions of views on YouTube, at one point hitting the 30 million mark. But their First Take version added a new layer of success. When it dropped on streaming platforms, it didn't take long before it earned millions of plays across different apps, proving that fans loved hearing the song in a fresh, unfiltered way. SB19 didn't just perform on a global stage, they owned it. SB19's later performances, particularly at international events, leveraged Gento as a signature piece. For example, in June 2025 at the Hito Music Awards in Taiwan, SB19 performed Gento along with other hits, and even collabed with Taiwanese group Ozone. That performance wasn't just about nostalgia, it was a statement. Gento continues to carry weight years after its release. Through and through, SB19 remained resolute and determined, despite the disputes around their name and branding, an event that could have derailed their momentum. Gento gave them a strong anchor, something that reminded fans, and maybe even themselves, of who they truly are. Hits like Gento are powerful, but they also set high expectations. After such a breakthrough, the pressure to follow up with equally strong content is intense. In fact, some even say no other song released by the group has outperformed Gento. Fast forward to 2025, and Gento isn't just a milestone, it's a foundation. Even in 2025, SB19 continues to perform Gento at major events. Their Taiwan performance at the Hito Music Awards is proof that the song remains a cornerstone of their setlist. Its message, perseverance, growth, transformation, continues to resonate, especially as they evolve. You can now watch the whole Pagdatag era, including everything that happened around Gento, in a documentary released in 2024. And trust me, this isn't your typical behind-the-scenes fluff. The film goes deeper. It shows the late nights, the pressure, the uncertainty, and the reality of SB19 trying to reinvent themselves while fighting for their independence. You really see how Gento wasn't just a song. It was part of their story. It represented their grit, their growth, and their decision to take control of their own career. So Gento wasn't just a song. Not at all. It was a lifeline. It was SB19's way of announcing, "We are here, we are gold, and we built this." From chart success to viral dance trends to Grammy attention, it's clear that Gento didn't just save SB19's career. It reshaped it. If you're an Aton, you probably felt it the first time the beat dropped. And if you're a newcomer, I hope this story gives you a new respect for what Gento really means. Thanks for sticking with us to the end. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more stories like this coming your way. And before you go, drop a comment below. What's your favorite Gento moment? Or better yet, comment Gento saved SB19. If you believe this song truly changed P-pop history, we want to hear from you.